So,
Okay. Got it.
oh,
So feelings. And one of the handouts you've gotten that I don't know if you've had a chance to print or if you've been sort of having that front and center, but is a subset. I think there's about 20 of them. And our feelings are messengers. They are vital guides to our values, to our energy, to our motivation. And so often we're coming from thinking. We figure out, we decide what's right, what should happen, what's supposed to happen. And that's all in this, cognitive thing. And the whole idea of wholehearted, whole body is that we listen and we learn from our emotions. And a lot of them are uncomfortable.
yeah.
Which is why we have learned to repress them, numb them, distract, talk ourselves out of them, offload them at each other. And one of the big ones, of course, is anger. So I want to talk about that one and do some experiences. And you can use whatever's come up, this week, the last week. I know you had that hard night. Whatever you want to use, because the skill is to tune back into what we're feeling. It's a compass, invaluable compass. So what comes up when you hear me say you are invited to feel more? And
I think back to when I was on my sabbatical and I really focused on my emotions and why I would feel the way I was feeling. And so it was really fun to unpack and to sit and think, okay, why am I feeling this way? Why am I in a hurry? Or why am I feeling upset? To sit and think, okay, well, what's not going right? And to acknowledge that, component of my life that I'm feeling, discontent for, and the reasons why, and going, okay, so I'm upset that this happened, but why? So then why am I being angry about it? Or it's okay to be angry about it, but I don't need to project that on others.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting to be more aware of that. And I still think, okay, so why am I feeling grumpy right now? So what is it? What's the underlying issue? Is it I have something going on in my personal life or my work life or something that's not quite settled, but yet I'm feeling these emotions and I'm letting them out on my family.
Yeah. Very common.
Yeah.
Very normal. Not always skillful, but we all do it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it gets perpetuated generation after generation. And yet it's not helpful.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
So
Yeah.
we're here to be cycle breakers. So much of this program is cycle breaking and not continuing to hand it down. And you get a gift because Sarah is an incredible teacher. She has so much in tune access with her emotions, and they're not very regulated, but she hasn't repressed them so much. Like I will say my strong-willed child who's 23, she has a lot of repressed emotions because the first part of her life, I didn't know how to validate. And so she was kind of shamed for being too much, too intense, too angry, because I couldn't handle it. My childhood was like, oh no, squash that anger. That is not okay. I would get disapproval face. I would get sent to my room. I would get all this, ooh, bad. And yet anger in particular means something matters.
Yeah.
It is a beautiful compass when it's not directed at right between the eyes.
Yeah.
When we cannot take it personally, we can just go, I'm angry. It's not because of you. It's not your fault. No one made me angry. I'm feeling angry. It's in my jaw. It's in my fists. It's for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's good.
And hard to break that cycle. We have a super highway to how our parents did it. And directing it at each other or stuffing it and then having it explode. I'm good. I'm supposed to be calm. I'm supposed to keep it all in, but that's actually not the way to do it. It's feel all our feelings in the moment. Own them.
Yeah.
They're for us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think one thing for me is feeling this sense of how do I put it? I want to say like I know my values, I know what's important to me. But sometimes I still allow myself to like not honor my values. And then I feel like I'm letting myself down. And then it's like, well, am I not worthy enough? Like, this is me talking to myself, you know what I mean? It's like, okay, like what is going on here? And so, and we'd shared with you that we're going to be homeschooling Sarah. Sure what the best place to put that.
That's okay.
Yeah, so we've got you on our lap, so we're like, so sorry, we're not having an earthquake over here, anyhow. But it's like, why am I not doing the things to allow myself to feel the feelings? And so, when we talk about cycle breaking, I'm like, I do not want to return to my maker having taught Sarah that, like, she's totally entitled to like feel what she wants to feel, and it's okay. And
it's triggering.
Yeah, totally. I'm just like, I don't want to show her that, I don't want. And so there are times like, so for example, may I talk about how you get cranky when you're hungry and tired?
Yeah.
Okay. So Chad will get cranky when he's hungry and tired. Like you don't want to be in the same household with him.
I'm like the Snickers commercial, it's like you turn into somebody else and you go into beast mode. It's like, just have a Snickers and you'll be fine.
Yeah, exactly.
And can you own it, Chad? Are you aware of when it's happening?
Sometimes.
I know Jen is. Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes it's like, oh yeah, I am hungry.
Yeah. And it's hard when it's so much of this is unconscious. That's why it's so challenging to work with. So again, don't beat yourself up. Just like it's totally normal. And an area, an edge you'd like to, sounds like, have more awareness of.
Yeah, for sure. And we'd like for him to be more aware of it too. So without me having to point it out, right? But I'm like, okay, I'm his life partner here. I'm happy to point it out, right? But
and is there a non-verbal way you can point it out? Because often when you shouldn't do that, then Chad, you probably just get more pissed, don't tell me what to do. It's not conscious. You're just.
Yeah. And sometimes she's not very subtle or not very kind about it either.
Because I'm like,
sure.
Get it together, you're 48-year-old grown ass man. Like, the damn snack. So no, I don't. Yeah, I get very patient about it.
So I just want to point out there's
just throws gas on the fire.
Right. So I just want to point out there's two things. So Chad, your edge is to become aware of what's happening in your body that are the pre-clues to, let me eat before I speak. Or feel, but own before I speak at.
Yeah.
And Jen, yours is you're off, you're needing to feel something too. You're wanting to direct it. He's your lightning rod, right? You're shooting him. You're feeling upset. You're feeling frustrated. Just feel frustrated. I feel frustrated. This energy is intense for me. It's called broadcasting, but it's I. As soon as we go you, just incendiary.
Okay. All right. So instead it's, I'm frustrated right now. And then in that moment, do I say things like, I'm frustrated because I can see that you're angry and you're taking out on it, or
just, this energy is intense for me. You don't need many words.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm going to go take a break.
Okay. Yeah. So, um, so you're suggesting a nonverbal thing. Can you give an example of what that might look like?
Yeah. So for me, it was a lot with my daughter, and we would have like a peace sign, because whenever she was just, just hangry, or just something was not going her way, and they go 0 to 60, then she can't hear. Whenever I tell her anything, it's just going to be gasoline, like you said, Chad.
Mhm.
So we're trying to care and show them we're caring, but really I'm kind of pissed and like, I don't like this. So I'm both threatening, but kind of pretending I'm not threatened. So it all gets really mixed up quick.
Okay.
So if you can do, like something, hand on your heart, or, oh my God, something that can bring a little almost humor, or
Mhm.
just some kind of communication like, wow, this is intense, or this is hard for me, or even say, this is hard for me. I need to take a break.
Okay.
Because it's so hard not to blame the stimulus. And we're so into blame. It's his fault,
Yeah. Right.
or it's her fault. It's actually
Yeah.
no one's fault. It's just we're living in community, and we're feeling, and we're needing, and we're
Mhm.
having body sensations, and we're having thoughts about all that.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
So can I throw a Snickers bar at him?
I don't know, Chad, would that work for you? Could you just have a Snickers bar just to wave in the air?
Yeah, just be like,
Would you like this?
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Chad,
Yeah, I'll take that.
and the key
Buying
is not,
Snickers bars when we go to Costco this afternoon.
and the key is not to come from should judgment, right? And if that is how you feel, then go work with that.
Mhm.
It's so hard not to direct it, and that's just like, that's the last thing you need, right, Chad?
Right.
Mhm.
And that's where, like I was saying about like the worthiness. So for me, my three fundamental, most important values are faith, family, and freedom. And so, hold on a second, the dog's trying to crawl on the laptop. I'm glad we didn't just like, wait. But, and so, so for me, for example, family being a strong value to me, when I see like Chad flipping out, and often it's like right around the time when I'm starting to cook dinner. And so I'm like, I get it. Like we all need to eat, like, and a lot of times we're trying to get dinner cooked, like starting to cook dinner at 5 o'clock, because in our household, we do better if we eat around 5:30 or 6.
Smart.
And
So you've already figured that out.
Mhm.
and so, but by that point, if Chad hasn't had a snack or something like that, or if Sarah didn't have like an after school snack, they're going to be more of that, like hangry, right?
Cranky. Yeah.
So I'm in fixer mode over here. Let me fix this for my family, right?
Right.
And I'm like,
Then you get resentful.
exactly. I know.
They can
Yeah.
feed themselves.
Uh-huh. Yeah. No, it's totally true. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so, and I admittedly get hangry at times, but not nearly as much as Chad and Sarah do. And so I know what it feels like, right? And so, but for where I'm going with this whole thing though, as far as tying it back to that whole, the point of the worthiness, like I'm worthy of wanting to have a delightful family evening. I've worked my ass off all day. Chad's been busy doing whatever. Sarah's been at school. Like, I don't want anger because somebody didn't put 100 calories in their mouth. Like, do the thing, you know what I mean? And so that's where I'm coming from. It's like, I'm working hard, I'm taking care of things. And right now I'm about ready to expend a lot of mental and physical energy to pull the dinner together. And I probably cook 75% of our meals.
Probably.
Right. Chad's a good cook though, but I tend to cook more of the dinners. And so, and I don't have any problem. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm not saying that I have an issue with that. I'm a good cook and I enjoy it. I'm just saying it's like, then it turns into this thing of like, well, you guys
want happiness and
Happiness,
joy
exactly.
and
Right,
fun and
right.
conversation and
right, exactly. And you guys, it's like, I feel like you're being, ungrateful for the fact that I'm doing the things, you know what I mean? So like all of that stuff is like kind of wrapped in the moment. And I'm like, dang, this is hurtful to me. This does not feel good. Right. And then that's
so
where
this is this is a beautiful example because it's exactly, what replicates over 100 different topics. So you're feeling like you're putting effort out. And whenever I expend effort, I have unspoken expectations.
Yes.
They should appreciate it. They should be grateful. They should come happy. They should come talk to me while I'm making dinner. There's, and those aren't spoken, but when those don't happen, when things don't go the way you want them to, even though that's an unspoken movie in your head, we get resentful.
Yeah.
We don't even recognize we're getting resentful. And yet, but we don't want to feel resentful because that's not charitable, that's not kind. So
Right.
we stuff it. So the more we stuff, the less that emotion is there to serve us. Our emotions are for us. They are messengers. So instead of all these unspoken thoughts, if we could just feel, wow, that resentment is like this pressure in my chest, or I don't know what it is for you, but just tune in next time you're in that dinner situation. They're going to do what they're going to do. We can't change anybody else. They change themselves. But what can you do to empower yourself in that situation is feel, wow, I'm getting kind of intensity. I'm feeling like, ugh, I don't like this.
And do I verbalize it or do I just sit with it?
You can verbalize it or sit with it. Try both. See what works for you.
So
even saying the story I'm telling myself, because again, it's not you're saying it's about them, it's actually your response to them.
Right. Yeah.
So the story I'm telling myself is that you're not appreciating my efforts.
Yeah.
And you're in a bad mood, and I don't like that energy.
Right.
And you get to be in whatever energy you have, Chad. You get to be you. So it's just, how do we live in community when we're enmeshing energies and emotions, but not direct them at each other or take it personally?
Yeah.
That's where the problem is. The emotion and the grumpiness isn't the problem. It's what we think about their grumpiness, what they think about this, all that, how dare they? I'm efforting and they're not appreciating.
Right. Absolutely. Okay. And so
that's how we relate to it. And you could even be self-compassion, like, yeah, of course this is hard for me to be, making dinner and having all this energy around me. No wonder I'm feeling kind of resentful.
Yeah.
It's okay to feel resentful.
Yeah, I see that. And there's the extrapolating it out to like with parenting Sarah and stuff like that. Like, at the end of the day, the whole getting her ready for bed, like I'm also tired, right? Like especially if it's been a day where I've been working and have had lots of client meetings, or if I've done any kind of training presentation type stuff, like I've given a lot, and then I feel like this regret, burden,
kind of have to energy.
Yeah, but also this like I don't have anything left in the tank for my kid.
Right. Which is probably true.
Yeah. And so, and that's like kind of like regretting, those kinds of things. I'll be curious to see what happens actually as we start homeschooling, because I'll be the one doing the majority of the homeschooling stuff. And so, which also means I'm going to be backing off some of my work hours. But there was just the other day, Sarah was flipping out on something, and it was the story I was telling myself was she's making my life difficult. She wasn't making my life difficult. She was being 7 and tired and whatever it was, but that's what I was. Son of a beepity beep beep. My God, I'm giving up this like thing that brings me so much joy in my life to go homeschool this little brat. Like,
Yeah.
Like all sorts of emotions. And I was trying not to like dump all of that on her in the moment. You know what I mean? I was like, okay, I got to set this aside. I'm sure I'll get into it with Allison or whatever, but I've shared it with you. It's like I'm like, I want to homeschool, and I want there to be like, anyhow, I'm not sure how to put it. I'm
Yeah.
not, where I was about to say is I want her to appreciate the fact of what's happening, and I don't think she's going to appreciate till she's probably about
All
20.
your sacrifice. Yeah.
She's not going to get it.
She will eventually.
That's what I said, until she's
Yeah.
25.
I think
So-
it'll be sooner than that, but she's just not there yet. She's 7.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So,
And that's a really important part, because she's going to be 7 or 8 when you are homeschooling her.
mhm,
So it's
Yeah.
really, can you do the work of listening to that story you're telling yourself that she should appreciate, because kids are notoriously horrible at meeting our needs.
mhm,
They are very unreliable.
yeah.
So getting
Well,
that
isn't it an
need
unrealistic expectation even to have them?
completely,
that
but
you
we
even
we have it.
expect them?
Yeah.
Yes, but we do
Mhm.
unconsciously.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's how to bring that to the consciousness, and whoa, I'm expecting a 7-year-old to appreciate me and she's not capable.
Mhm,
So where else can I get that need for appreciation met?
mhm,
Can I appreciate myself? Can I ask Chad to appreciate me more on a very, sort of structured basis? Because otherwise this
right.
could turn into a big nightmare for all of you.
Right.
This homeschooling.
Right.
And that's not what you want.
And I don't want the alternative to be like, oh, well, we tried, screw it, we'll take her back to school, right? Like it's, I'm not,
That's not an option.
yeah, that's not an option, right? So,
And it's okay to explore this and have it not be easy,
uh-huh,
and needing maybe a hybrid solution. Maybe it's,
mhm,
if we attach to this, homeschooling will work and we'll all love it, that is a recipe for probably suffering.
Mhm.
right, exactly.
Well, and just to say what I'm learning a lot about others that have homeschooled before, one of the big keys of this is flexibility. Is
Yeah.
not to hold yourself to this rigid curriculum. You have to be very
Yeah.
flexible, and there's going to be give and take, and there's going to be some days where you just may not do a whole lot, and others where you get a little more accomplished. That's
Yeah.
totally okay.
Yeah.
And it's learning that balance of, okay, we're going to do some stuff here and we're going to do some stuff there, but ultimately finding that happy medium so everybody's enjoying this, because
Right.
because we know ultimately that's the best for our family, best for Sarah, best for us as parents, to be able to lead her and help her through this. But it's, it's walking a tightrope sometimes.
Yeah. And knowing that her moods are like this.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah.
the yes brain is only there some of the time.
Mhm,
Yeah.
And when the yes brain is not there, then that's when you go take an emotional release break, a movement break.
Mhm.
mhm.
And I'll send you a handout of constructive ways to release emotion,
Cool, thank you. That sounds
because it's really helpful to just prioritize in your day, because
Mhm.
often it's just the thing that gets missed.
good. Mhm,
We all try to stay on schedule. We're like doing, we're thinking, and we have to be bodies and we have to be emotional,
mhm,
expressive.
mhm.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah, that sounds really, really good. I'm very, um, what was I gonna say? I feel really grateful that we were having this time with you, because when we got started, we didn't know we were gonna start homeschooling her and stuff, right? And so, well, that's not true. We knew we were gonna homeschool her, but we thought it was gonna be like 3rd or 4th grade. She's coming into 2nd grade. And so it escalated. We did not come to you for homeschooling coaching, however, because this is all totally tied into it. And we went to a homeschooling conference on March 31st, and we attended one of the they had like lessons and stuff, and one of them was like about arguing. And so,
Yeah.
and so I'm
Like healthy arguing.
healthy arguing. Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Great.
Because I will go toe to toe with anybody, anywhere, and debate things and get into a conversation. Like I have like zero barrier to engage in that kind of a conversation, right? So to me, I'm like, it's healthy debate. We're talking about the things, and here's my perspective on it. And oh, what did you read? So I love that kind of stuff, right? And then Chad and I will get into these healthy conversations, you know what I mean? And Sarah's like, you guys are arguing. And I'm like, this isn't an argument. Like, this is
It's a conversation.
Fun.
Discussion, yeah.
Exactly. And so I'm like,
animated, but
Yeah, like,
And it's,
wait.
you know, it made me think, why does she think it's an argument?
because
Well,
she
but
said
why?
before, it's because of our voices going up and down and different things.
Mm.
So for whatever reason, we haven't helped her to see, like, voices that go up and down doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily mean that people are angry and mad at each other. It's just the course of a conversation. So
So I have a curiosity question. Does her voice, when her voice goes up, when she's angry, how do you often respond to her?
I usually tell her, I will tell her, don't yell, just use your words.
And what
That's
what
what's
if
that?
yelling is the best way for her to
Mm.
express herself in that moment?
Good question. I don't have an answer to that.
Can that for my experience with the strong-willed volcano child, they need to yell. They have so much intensity that's important for them. And they're so I hear she's hearing from you, that's not okay. And it might be a lot. It's intense. So just I want you to look at
Mhm.
what she needs to be able to really experience and express her what matters, her anger, her intensity. How can you give her free rein to do that and give your own nervous system what it needs? How
Mm.
can both be true?
Mhm.
So that
Even-
you don't have any underlying thoughts of that's disrespectful, that's not okay, that's too much.
Yeah, that's a good question.
we need a silent room so we can go in it.
It's
A
Adam,
padded silent room.
I've wanted to build a temper tantrum room, which is like
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they can do whatever they need to. I can go in and do whatever
Yeah,
I need
right.
to,
Go in
as
there and just
loud
punch
as,
the wall and do
Yeah.
whatever you want.
Do their
Kick,
thing.
scream,
Yeah.
yes,
Exactly.
get it out. And
because
take a nap after.
that's her honest experience. That's
Mhm.
true for her.
Mhm.
Her life isn't going the way she wants it to, and it just is like, it's.
Mhm.
And then once they are able to do that, then they can move on. But
Yeah.
but if they get a lot of don't shush too much, then they stuff, and then that
Mhm.
gets stuck inside them.
Yeah, and I've noticed she's hard on herself.
Yeah.
She is a little perfectionist. So if for instance, if she's cutting something or drawing something and it doesn't go her way, she'll rip it out of her notebook, rip it up and throw it, and is angry about it instead of just like, okay, well, it didn't work. I'm gonna just try it again. She gets very upset at her imperfections, and her mind's eye is different than what is coming out sometimes.
Very, very normal that they have this very low tolerance for things not going their way,
Mhm.
and very high vision of how they want the world to work.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right. Yeah.
And those two together, challenging.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I showed her
With the big
video
anger.
Yeah, I showed her this video on Instagram of an artist drawing something. Like it was like you could see like their hands drawing something, and Sarah
Yeah.
like tried to recreate it, and she got really upset at herself that she couldn't. I was like, Sarah, that artist, and I knew she was going to go. Like she's like started to, and she didn't say to me, "I'm going to recreate it," but I could see what was going on because I could see how she was starting to sketch it out.
She's like, I could do that.
And so I'm like, just so you know, your version of it is not going to look like what theirs does. I said, just get ready, because they have spent years and thousands of hours to get to this point where they're on Instagram, they're showing, their art stuff.
Yeah.
And I said, but certainly try, go for it. So anyhow, but she, she flipped out because it didn't look, I was like, oh, okay.
And just one, again, idea for how to approach her, because I hear you're very logical, rational.
Right, exactly.
So what she needs is you to meet her heart.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, no wonder you're frustrated.
Mm-hmm.
I can see how much you want that. Oh, you're just inspired by this artist, and that must be so frustrating. Oh,
yeah.
Just meet, feel first.
Mm-hmm.
Problem solve second.
Okay.
After.
Okay.
If you could do one thing this whole week, is just mirror her feelings, match her feelings, validate, reflect feelings this whole week. Your feelings, Chad's feelings, Sarah's feelings.
Okay. All right, cool. And I get to throw Snickers at him, right?
Wave. I think we talked about waving.
Yeah, no throwing.
Juggle. How about juggle the Snickers?
Like I could learn how to juggle. That's good. Why not do one more thing?
Or just two.
Yeah.
Or one, just one at a time, just like a tennis ball.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna buy a headband. I'm sure some or can create something like a headband that's got like a Snicker. I'm just gonna put it on and I'm gonna look at them.
Yeah. That'll work too.
Like I'm not saying anything.
That would probably work.
Yeah. Like,
Because
oh,
the idea is interrupt without the lecture,
uh-huh.
without the judgment.
Oh, and I am so good at lecturing. I got this
Oh.
down.
Me too.
Yeah, sorry.
And for Sarah too,
Right.
because lectures just go 0 to 100 with, don't tell me what to do. That's controlling.
Right.
She receives that as controlling, not the help
How
you're
many times has
intending it as.
how often have we heard her, don't tell me what to do?
Oh, some countless.
It's her core fear. Like she could have it tattooed on her breastplate here. They all could.
Mhm.
So it's a help to remind us, because she is perfect, whole the way she is. She's going to be an incredible adult.
Mhm.
Parenting her is really hard. So it's give yourself a big pat on the arm. It's compassion for, oh, this is hard.
Yeah.
It's not wanting it to be different.
Mhm.
I mean, it's acknowledge, oh, I want this to be different. And it isn't.
Yeah. Right. And and then in the moment, not sure what to do. So
Yeah.
So I
So
think
even
I'll go back to my my old standby that doesn't work of the lecturing. So
right. And that's a good thing, just to let's do an exercise about emotions. So why is it challenge for each of you, because you each grew up differently? Why is it hard to feel resentment, embarrassment, anger, frustration? Why is it hard for each of you to feel those, to own those?
I'll go first. So there's I remember as soon as you asked that question, like I instantly went to a time when I actually wasn't too much older than Sarah. I think I was 8. And my mom was like, it's not okay for you to feel this. Like I'm busy. I'm doing all of this stuff and I don't even get to feel those emotions. So you don't get to feel them.
Yeah. So you were squashed, shamed, disapproval face.
Yep. Yep.
And wouldn't it have been beautiful if your mom had had the energy, time, knowledge to say, oh, of course you feel frustrated, angry, upset.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, it would have. Absolutely.
I believe you. Yeah.
And it's not like she did it all the time, but I know there were some times when she did it. So it still had its impact.
Yeah. So you knew to curtail.
Absolutely. Or like my dad, who died by suicide when I was 14. My brother was 12. And we went and did family therapy, the 3 of us. And my mom told me, she said, you know, this is really for your brother's benefit.
Oh, really?
She said, I'm going to need you to not talk very much. You need to allow Matt. This is for him. She said, he needs it more than we do.
Like,
that's my dad. Right.
Yeah.
So,
That's bizarre.
Yeah. Well, and it was very like you have to kind of buck up, put up with it, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you know.
She was training you to be a little mini her. Of take charge, don't feel, be productive.
Right. Absolutely. Do all the things, fix the things, throw the, you know, try to make dinner and keep things calm.
So just give those young parts a big hug, because that was hard. That hurt.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so now we're wanting to re-befriend because those parts don't trust us. Those feelings don't trust that it's safe to
Mm,
feel, even now.
interesting. Yeah.
That mom's voice is always with you.
Yeah.
So our job is to befriend hurt
Mm-hmm.
and sadness and
Mm-hmm.
all the emotions.
Right. Yeah. The loneliness, the, what's the word for not heard? Dismissed, marginalized, diminished, all those things.
Not
Yeah.
seen and heard, core
Mhm.
needs.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Right. Absolutely. And then
So
I
no wonder,
contrast that to other times when she would pull me onto her lap and she would just talk to me out in the yard randomly. She would just stop whatever she was doing. She'd just be like, I think you need a minute. You know what I mean? And so sometimes she did it, but so
and it makes sense why you would want appreciation
right.
when you're efforting, you're like, why not? I'm here, see me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Mm.
How about you, Chad?
Well, what comes to mind is those feelings show weakness.
Mm.
And that was something that we weren't to do. You know, you're not supposed to show that. And
And you had
so,
a lot of sisters, am I
you know,
remembering right?
I'm the
Oh,
oldest of three, so one brother and one sister.
okay, one of each.
Yeah.
So emotions were weak.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was never taught how to display emotions and it'd be okay. You know, it's
Right.
Yeah,
don't
you didn't see your parents do that.
no.
Yeah.
Mm-mm. Just stone cold all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how about anger?
Oh, I think anger was what's the right way to do it? I think that was somewhat common towards me because I would antagonize, you know, being the oldest, I would antagonize my brother and sister. And so I was getting dad's anger, you know,
Yeah.
because I was bugging them and teasing them or whatever. And then so I would, you know, I would have to get the emotions on me.
Yeah.
You know.
Right.
Yeah. And that didn't feel good
Mm,
because it always takes two.
right.
Dad, you didn't see what he did.
Yeah, you know, and I'm sure I instigated a lot, you know, but there were times when, you know, it was the other way.
Yeah.
And so, but I would get in trouble because I was just the known,
Right.
you know,
Oldest.
you're the one that knows better. You're the one that was instigating or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
You were the chief instigation officer.
Yeah.
So there's a part in you that probably didn't feel seen or heard.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And that probably hurts.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, can we listen? Can we befriend that part that felt hurt
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
understand it?
Mm-hmm.
You would have loved your mom and dad to be able to say, oh, you know, this is a tricky situation. I know you are just trying to play. It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't have the knowledge or the modeling or the ability to do that.
Yeah.
So can you do that for yourself now? When
Mm-hmm.
there's a feeling. And if there's any, yeah, but that doesn't feel safe, that feels weird. What is the, because when we've had 20, 30 years of this one way of operating, which is emotions are weak, they're not safe, they're not productive. I didn't see them modeled, so just yuck. Like the emotion work you did on sabbatical.
Mm-hmm.
Can I befriend frustration? embarrassment, even anger.
Yeah.
And why or why not?
Yeah, for sure.
Because this isn't Pollyanna. This isn't just, it's how do we live these new ways so that Sarah's anger isn't so triggering.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean something is wrong. It doesn't mean there's a problem. It doesn't mean she's bad. It doesn't mean she's disrespectful. It means her unique temperament leads with anger. Something didn't go as she wanted it to go. She cares about how things look, how things being successful, being capable.
Mm-hmm.
And when she gets angry, it's not about either of you.
So is it best for us to try to talk to her about what she feels angry about in the moment? Or do you just kind of let her cool down for a minute and then ask,
It-
what made you angry?
Yes, and it's not really even the whole cognition. It's not the why. It's just the notice she's bubbling over. She's experiencing an emotion.
Mm-hmm.
That emotion is there for her. Doesn't have to be rational. Just, oh, wow, you're angry. I get it. It makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I believe you. You're not trying to take her out of her anger. That was what I thought that's what I was conditioned to do. Let's
Mm-hmm.
get through the anger as fast as possible. Let's make it go away. Let's transition to the other side.
Mhm.
And so she's feeling all this agenda,
Mhm.
all this, my anger is not okay. My anger is not welcome here.
Oh, we have such an agenda all the time. Oh, good hell. Yeah.
Yeah, because we want to live right.
Mhm.
But all those agendas, supposed tos, is feeling first. Because feelings are alive, they're in the moment, and they're pointing us to our values.
Yeah. So are we, because I'm thinking about this whole thing around like emotions and different feelings and stuff. And so how can we help her to name her emotion when she's in that moment? Because I don't want to project on her, you're angry.
Right. That's great. And there are cards you can get, but again, not in the moment. You just are a container.
Okay.
To let her experience it.
Okay. So,
and
okay.
If that is, just wait one thing, if
Yeah.
that is too triggering and you want to get to explaining and figuring out and why,
Fixing,
then just notice your own response. She's perfect. She's emoting. She's in touch with her anger. She is in it. She's all good. The question is, if it's hard for you to tolerate, just go journal, go, or even say, wow, this is intense. I think I need a break. You're fine. Validate her, reassure her. Boy, your emotion is, you got it. Punch the couch, whatever, get ways in your home that just normalizes and validates anger is for us. Anger is okay.
Okay.
And please tell me what comes up when you hear me say that, because you're like, oh my gosh, we're going to raise a Tasmanian devil.
That kid, she's a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, because there's a part of you that might worry that, oh my gosh, that's like putting gasoline on her fire. Why would we want to do that?
Right. Well, so okay. The other night, after dinner, she just really was like dysregulated. I don't know if that's the right word, but I'm just going to use it because I've heard you say it before. But she was pushing me a bunch. She was so I was in the kitchen trying to clean up some dishes, and I just told her, I said just go do something by your, just do it, jump on the trampoline, go in your room, like whatever. I said I can't. And I actually told her, I said, I can't interact with you right now. And so, and then, but she kept coming after me. like she was trying to
Yes.
engage, right? And so, and I'm like, I don't want to engage with her right now.
Yeah.
Like I'm feeling this sense of, you know, it's like you ungrateful little turd of a child. Like,
Right.
ugh,
Yes.
you know what I mean? And so I'm
Yes.
like, I don't want to engage with her. Like I was trying to like just keep my cool and just be like, I need to be doing something. For me, sometimes if you like in the movement of stuff, and this is like late at night, it's not like I'm gonna be like, oh, here, stay at home alone by yourself. Because by the way, Chad was at work. And so it's not like I can be like, I'm going for a walk around the block. I mean, quite honestly, she probably would be okay to be home, but I would just, anyhow, whatever. It's not like she's 12, 10 or something. So, but in the end, like she just wouldn't stop. She was relentless with me. And I just stopped and I grabbed her little cheeks, her little face. And I just said, Sarah, I love you. And we need to be done with this. And as I was saying it, I just walked her backwards while holding her face. I took her
Yeah.
down the hallway to her bedroom and I said, get in your pajamas.
Yeah.
You're done. You need to go to bed. And I just kept talking, just looking her in the eyes, Allison. I was just like, yeah, you know,
Yeah.
and so because like what I wanted to do was just like spank the living daylights out of her. You know what I mean? Just like I'm like, okay, I don't want to go there, don't want to go there, you know.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
And her eyes just got like wider and wider and wider when she realized like, oh, you know, whatever. And then I think that she got in bed and that's she was wearing her clothes from the day.
Yeah, shorts
And you came,
t-shirt
yeah,
on.
and you came home later and
Mhm.
she was in bed.
Yes. Well, she was sitting up
Oh,
coloring or writing or doing something. And
but I was like,
she didn't even really want to talk to me about anything. I'm like, what's going on? She's like,
Right.
nothing.
yeah. Didn't she say to you, did you talk to mom? I think
can't
she did.
remember. She said
Because
something like that.
because I quietly crept up on the outside of the door just to hear what was she saying.
Yeah.
And so, but she said, you talked to mom, and you said, no, will you tell me? And she's like, no, I don't want to. But I didn't like, to me, I'm not so tied to like, she didn't brush her hair, she didn't brush her teeth, she didn't put on pajamas, she didn't get her feet washed, you know, like
That-
we like wash
That
her feet,
flexibility
you know,
is
example, but
excellent.
yeah, right. I was like, I don't care. I don't care. But I was like,
Right.
and it literally physically was hurting me because she would come and she would hit me on the back of my like my lower back and like the upper part of my butt. And so I was like, okay, this like literally hurts.
Yeah.
You know, and that's when you're talking about putting a container around things. This is what I'm just bringing this up because I was trying to give her the container of mom needs to just be in the kitchen right now doing dishes. You got like the rest of the house, like do the things, kid. So give me some insights. Where did I go awry?
No, that is so typical and that is absolutely normal. And they want engagement, right? She was doing everything she could. Even negative engagement is better than no engagement.
Right.
And so it's a really hard, tricky moment. You were doing a great job of setting limits, you know, speaking, this is not okay with me. And she was latching on because for her it felt like abandonment. In that moment, she needed connection and she didn't know how to ask for it. So she was using all these really negative ways and you were pushing her away and it was just a mess. So that's a hard situation. So no beating her up, you up, anything. That sounds like you handled it well. And one thing to try is, hey, it sounds like, you know, are you needing some connection? And again, it's hard because your tank is low. You had nothing to give. Can you even say, hey, I want to be able to connect with you. Like you said, I love you and I got nothing. I don't know what to do here. You know, it's just, this is a tricky situation. This is hard. I see you want connection and I'm tired. It's you matter and she matters. Your emotions are valid. Her emotions are valid. It's not anything has to happen.
I said, would you like to have some cuddle time on the couch and read? Would you like, you know, something like that? Because I was just trying to make, you know, a suggestion or whatnot. And so, I was like, anyhow, but maybe not actually suggesting the solution, but just simply saying, do you want connection? Like, would that have been better? and then let her come
Yeah.
up with what that connection could look like.
Yeah. It's so hard to know because they're just feeling. It's just, they're not thinking. They're
Yeah.
just, they lead with emotions every moment of the day.
Mhm.
And we lead with head. So
Yeah.
we just keep doing this. So the more we can go feeling, what am I feeling? Because she's trying to connect with you on a feeling level
Mhm.
Mhm.
and not on a logical level.
Mhm.
That's maybe like, saltines, but she wants chocolate cake.
Mhm.
She wants feeling chocolate cake.
Yes. Yep. Okay. That works.
And it can even just be, hey, this is a tricky moment. This is what's occurring to me. She might not be able to speak what she needs.
Right.
And so having this list of different, ways for her to release emotion. But again, if it's not her idea, she won't always do it. So
Right.
just say self-compassion.
Mhm.
This is hard.
Yeah.
It's
Totally.
not supposed to be easy. There's no way to fix this. There's no right here. We're just relating.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. And she's strong-willed in her choices for sure. So like she's getting dressed. You want to tell her in the morning?
Oh, with her dress on? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. How she wouldn't sit and read and
Oh, yeah. Well, so I had been at work the past couple days and we were both home. And so Jen and I were both giving her direction of what to do
in the morning
in the
before
morning
school.
before school. And
I bet she loved that.
yes,
Totally.
yes, she did. It was the worst thing. And she just melted down. So we actually talked about, okay, after school or after she went to school, we talked that, okay, one of us can only give her direction in the morning, whether it's me or whether it's Jen, just has to come just from one source. That way she's not getting bombarded. And we tried that today. So I was home. And so I, did everything with her this morning, got her breakfast, we read, she did some words. There were no issues at all. And Jen says, I'm just purposely just, staying in the background. And,
Yep.
but yeah, so when she was getting direction from both of us, like, oh, we got to do this, let's do this, you need
Right.
to do this. And
Yeah.
it
overwhelmed her.
It did. And she
Mhm.
just did not do well. And it ended up, Jen pulling her dress off that she wanted to wear to school. And I'm just like,
That was,
out of control.
That was epic.
physical. Yeah.
Mhm.
So
That's
just again, give yourselves a big hug. We were doing our best. We were trying to support each other, trying to support her. Your intention was beautiful, and she gets overstimulated, especially with direction.
Mhm.
Yeah, she does.
One idea, again, depending on how verbal she is either writing routines or having pictures about routines, because as soon as it becomes verbal, she feels like she's getting told what to do, and it kind of gets her back up.
Yeah.
Well, she did fine this morning when I was telling her, it's like, okay, let's sit down and write your words. Okay. Let's sit down and read.
Yeah.
Okay. And so, she was very, okay with, getting that direction.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
it was just when both of us were telling her, and she was just like, I can't do everything at once, I think is what
Yeah.
she felt like.
Right. She's like,
Mom's telling me to do this, but dad tells me to do this, and mom tells me to do this. And,
Mhm.
Yeah. And I feel like I can't get it right.
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 So
Yeah.
I'm sure
Just trying to
that's,
please everybody and
yeah.
not get anywhere.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the direction would be things like, I'm in the kitchen talking to Sarah, and she had some words that the document that she needed to fill out, where she hand writes out the same words again and again and takes it back to her teacher. And I said, okay, I said, when you're done with that, then we can sit down and read a book together. And then Chad comes upstairs. He was downstairs I don't remember what you're doing, but he comes upstairs and he's like, okay, Sarah, let's sit down and read. And she had just gotten started writing her words out.
Yeah. So,
And I was like, oh, and that's when it hit me. I realized it was
Yeah.
later. And I was like, Chad, we're giving her too much information at the same time.
Yeah.
We've got to stop
Yeah.
doing that. Because it was such a perfect, within like 17-second microcosm of like this poor little kid, both writing letters and sitting down and reading a book. Fabulous things to do with her. There's nothing
Right.
wrong with either one of them,
Yeah.
but it was, but then
The time crunch.
I told Chad, I said, I actually just told her and I said this so that Sarah, because we're all like right here in the main part of the
Mhm.
house, and I said, actually, she's writing out her words and then we're gonna read together. And so, and you were like, oh, okay, like it wasn't like that big of a deal, but it was that big of a deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, what it was not that big of a deal, but it was that condensed with, eat your
Needing
food,
to get dressed.
hug, get the dress,
Brush
like
teeth.
all the things,
All the stuff, yeah.
all the stuff. And she was wearing a dress that she had gotten for Easter to wear to church, and she wanted to wear it to school. And I was like, you can wear it to school, that's fine. I'm like, I trust you to treat it well. Chad flipped out. He's like, and she needs nice dresses for church only. And I'm like, whatever, like in my mind, she's gonna grow out of it. Like, like let's just let her wear the damn thing. And so, but where I'm going with it is like he and I were not in alignment on just a piece of clothing, like not a big deal. It's a piece of clothing, right? So it was like all that stuff all crammed into like what, a 35-minute span of time,
Probably.
like no wonder she flipped out.
Yeah.
So and in the end, she didn't get to wear the dress to school because they ripped it off of her body because she was being a stinker.
Yeah,
right.
Naughty girls don't get to wear nice dresses to school, is what he said.
Yeah, I know, right?
As Jen's pulling the dress off her.
Yeah.
So we're almost out of time, but I wanted to say, did you circle back and own your part? Yeah.
After school. Yep.
Yeah. Like you weren't being a stinker. You were just having an emotion.
Yeah.
And that was a hard, tricky situation. Which, if you rewrite the end of that story, that is helping her not internalize the morning time. So as long as you're circling back,
always,
doesn't matter
it
how
wasn't her
many
fault.
screw-ups. Yeah. Right. And the more, again, what I want the focus for this week, or till we meet again, it could be 2 weeks, whatever, is feeling first.
Okay.
And less focus on Sarah and more focus on your feeling. When it's hard to feel, when you're blocking feeling, just be super curious. Like Chad, that time when you're on sabbatical, just super curious about, because if you stop your own emotional flow, you won't be tolerant for Sarah's. They're directly related.
Okay, makes sense. Okay,
And
sounds good. How many more coaching sessions do we have with you? I don't even know what we're doing.
3 more.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
Yeah, and then you can always add 3 more after today.
Okay.
And then we can always add on more.
Sure. I just wasn't, couldn't remember. Chad and I were talking, we're like, how much more do
I'm
we
not
have with Allison?
sure.
I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, let's ask her.
It's been a longer time than is typical, but it doesn't matter. It's whatever works for you. And yeah, our schedule.
I think it's been good for us because we get this conversation, then we get to kind of work on things,
practice it,
and come back and say, okay, this we're not working with this, or we've forgotten this, or whatever. So it's good to have a little bit of time in between instead of just having everything just right in a row to where okay, we're done, but now, man, I've got too many things to do and I can't remember it all.
Yeah.
So
I'm gonna send you the emotions again, just so you'll have it as a piece of paper. I would recommend you print that off.
Yep.
And again, it's just this feelings exploration, especially with you, a little bit with her.
Yep.
And if you want, I'll also send the trigger tracker, which is tracking when you get triggered. Can also be when she gets triggered, but it's really when you get triggered.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing that.
So print out 2, because you're each going to get triggered by different things.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you. Thanks for your help.
Feel first.
Okay.
She's lucky to have you.
Thanks. I need to record that and like make that like my text. Like every time a text comes in, she's lucky to have you. She's lucky to have you. Because sometimes I'm like, how did this happen? This poor kid. Like,
no, I think it's the other way around. I think we're lucky to have her because I think she's taken us to task.
Yeah.
She is the best mirror for your own growth you will ever get.
Right.
Yay.
Yeah. Not always comfortable, but
right. Exactly. All right.
Yeah.
And I'll send an email with some possible times for when next is.
Okay.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay.
And I'll send you the recording.
Oh yeah, and just the link or whatever, and I'll download it on my end. Okay.
I'll put it in YouTube, but as a private.
Oh, okay, that works. Thank you.
Okay. Bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
You're welcome.